cannot afford to miss a single moment of the next hour. Get ready to have your ideas about sexuality, love, and relationships blown wide open. It's time to get educated, entertained, and enlightened, as well as sexually empowered. You have now tuned into the Tantra Love, Sex, and Intimacy Show. Now, here's your host, Tanya Diamond.
You definitely gotta be able to get along with everybody, Billy. The things that happen on the radio before the radio happens are always intriguing. For instance, how do your radio voice sound? Billy and I were talking about that. He's done a few commercials.
One or two.
He's not liking how he sounds on the radio.
Well, it's just, and everybody's always their harshest critic, especially on the air.
Yes,
but
indeed.
yeah, I feel like haven't gone through puberty yet.
Right,
listening to some of those commercials.
He's still working on that. And that laugh you heard over there, that's not Joshua. No, we have somebody else on the radio here today with us. It's Max.
It is Max.
There he is. Max, Joshua's, where's he? He's on the East Coast somewhere.
Is he on the East Coast?
He is.
I thought he was in Chicago.
Oh, is that on? That's not on the East Coast.
Not quite.
Okay, so he's not on the East Coast. He's
on the North Coast.
He's on the mid-North Coast, somewhere like that. All right. So Joshua's in Chicago, so he's not joining us tonight, but we'll say hi. Hi, Joshua.
Hello.
And so Max has kindly agreed to come out and hang out with me this evening and talk about some things.
And stuff,
right. Those are technical things that we talk about. One of my charming quirks would be that whenever I'm talking about important things, I also include the stuff. Yeah, and
very helpful.
Yeah, and if you're tantric and you understand that tantra has to do sometimes with the obtuse and the mystical, using things and stuff leaves lots open to the imagination. Yeah. All right. So enough of that random spasticness. The next two shows after this one coming up in the next 2 weeks are pre-records. So this is my last live before the holidays. And you'll notice because Joshua and I are completely spazzes when we do those two shows. I don't know what was the difference there, but we were quite funny. So listen up for the next 2 weeks on the, what is that? The 24th and the 31st.
That's it.
Because we'll have new shows and you're bound to listen to it's like the radio bloopers or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, it is. Except the one where we're talking about the grand contest that we're going to have at the beginning of the year, where we're going to give away a lot of really amazing things from learningtantra.com.
Great.
Coaching programs, also products, all sorts of things. So you should definitely stay tuned for that. Okay, so Max, what do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? I want to know what you were talking about earlier when you gave that headline. Was that headline you gave earlier something about we're fine and?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nothing like somebody's just casually folding laundry and they're on the phone or on the computer and you're talking to somebody else and you say, oh, yeah, and and Max and I have to have a talk this weekend or whatever about something. And then you just leave it like that. And then he's like, what are we talking about? And I'm like, oh, headline, we're fine and we need to talk.
Yeah, that's hilarious. A little bit of poetic justice because I'm famous for the dangling, I'm not going to talk about it now thing. But by the way, here's the thing that will make you go insane wanting to know or talk about it.
Right. I mean, how many people do you think do that in a relationship? Kind of have that elude to there's something like... they walk around either just sighing or making faces, and you say, "What's wrong?" Well, nothing. Or we need to talk. Well, okay. And they'd say it right before you're walking out the door. That was the thing, right? I was getting ready to walk out the door, and you asked me, "Can we talk about this right now?" And I'm like, "No, we can't, because I'm walking out the door. Not a good time to bring up subjects."
Except I didn't bring it up.
Right. Well, the whole thing is, and what I'm enjoying that you said is, when everybody always says that communication is the key. Communication is the key to a good relationship. Well, the article I wrote, Communication Can Cause Divorce. The reality is, communication isn't the key. Good communication is the key. There's a lot of people communicating out there, a lot of women talking about how they think and feel about their men. And it's not working so well. So communication isn't just speaking your mind or talking about your feelings. It actually has to do with doing it in a way that's going to get you some response that you might like. So we've got that whole headline thing, right? The funny thing that we do.
Right.
So what's that look like?
Well, you actually give a headline, sort of, hey, headline, everything's great, or headline, that last time when we did X, Y, and Z, it was so nice about this and that. Headline, that was great, and there may be some other things.
Because we talk about an and world. So you can have a great relationship or be enjoying yourself and have some stuff that you want to talk about that's just maybe not working so well.
Right. The and world is very helpful.
Right. Because we tend to be kind of doomsday, don't we? Like
a little bit doomsday, and most people don't make it through life having any kind of fun without getting in some kind of trouble. So I've always wondered how people actually have relationships, kind of look at each other with all that love and respect and happiness the next day, no matter kind of what's happened. I mean, well, maybe not no matter what, but there's a lot of healing to be done in relationships. And I think some of these foundational tools, some of these implementations in a relationship, like, hey, headline, oh, it's okay. So it gives positive where positive is due.
Right.
And then there may be an and following up.
Well, because most people are too afraid to speak on the hard stuff. So they don't, because, we're all trained to think if we're not perfect, if everything isn't perfect, then we're doomed.
Right. Well, the hard stuff, now I know what you're talking about, because nobody really wants to be guilty about, or feel guilty about having folded the sheets wrong. Or, if the linens aren't quite, matching the towels or something like this, it's definitely going to be really upsetting. So we want to get that right.
He's not talking about me. we don't have matching linens and towels. But some people have. Some people are that way. Some people have their things. We all have our quirks, right? We all have our things that make us crazy.
Absolutely. But I'm poking a little fun at, the difficult things in life that we need to talk about, and who really does that.
Right. Well, people do, but generally it comes later when they're frustrated. So what happens is somebody will have this issue going on and on and on, and they won't be addressing it, and then one day they'll just blow. There's just the level of frustration has grown in a lot of areas, and they just blast it out. And usually it doesn't start with headline, we're okay. It starts out with the angry face and the angry voice and the you, always, always. Always. And, when you're ever using the words always and never and all that, it's not true. Those really aren't truisms for the most part.
Not for the most part. Occasionally, sometimes people do always do something.
Right. Like always leave the cupboard doors open.
Correct.
That's an issue in our house. The cupboard doors. So we use the headline thing because I think it's one of those things that just lets people know that everything's going to be okay. That whatever's happening, we're not leaving the relationship. Headline, you don't have to actually say the word headline, blah, blah, blah. We do it, I don't know, because we think it's funny maybe, because we started it. So it's like headline, I love you, I think you're hot, and we need to talk. So whatever happens, he knows that I love him and he's hot. And so these subjects aren't open for debate, but leaving the cupboard doors open, it's just not working for me. So
critical stuff.
I know. Actually, I kind of like it because it gives me a place to say how I'm feeling. Like if my intimacy needs are being met, I'll walk over and close them gently. And if I'm upset or something like that, I just slam them closed.
You mean like the one today?
Right. Yeah. Clonk. So I think it gives these non-verbal cues about my experience in the day. The cupboard doors. So we can look at that. And then of course, as a wonderful man like he is, he did take note of that. And then he could say something like, whoa, honey, I noticed that you might be feeling a little off today. Yes?
Well, cranky was the...
Cranky was the word. Yeah, and I was cranky. And I did give that headline earlier in the day.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And it was helpful.
Right. And that's the other thing people... I think if you're not feeling good and you know that you're short-tempered and you're having issues, maybe you should just tell people that you're dealing with that. I usually am like, hey, everybody, my body hurts. I don't feel very good today. I'm irritable. I tell my daughter that. I tell everybody. It's like, just so you know, if you want to help me out today, just, close the cupboard doors.
Absolutely. It makes all the difference in the world. If my girlfriend tells me while I'm driving home to her, hey, listen, I've had a bad day. I'm not in a good mood. Don't come home and be your sarcastic self. It makes all the difference in the world. I can go and stop and pick up a dozen roses on the way home, and that's going to be a whole lot better if I come home being the smart aleck that I always am, you know?
Right.
All right.
Just a little bit of communication goes
But you
so
appreciate
far.
that, and that's
so far.
Right. See, look at that. Billy's loving that. And it is so true, because we do want to be successful in our relationships, and a lot of the time we don't help our relationship partners be successful. You know, that whole, women especially want men, they think that the man, Mr. Right, is somebody who reads their mind. Now, okay, great. Wouldn't that be awesome? You know, isn't that great when somebody knows you so well that just your eyebrow tilt at a, little bit of degree angle lets them know that, your left foot hurts. That's awesome. But how about taking some personal responsibility? How about actually showing up and letting people be successful around you? What do you do to help me be successful?
I don't know. What do I do?
No, you're supposed to tell me.
I'm
what
supposed to say.
What accountability do you take to help me be successful?
Well, I don't know. Nothing really comes to mind. How about that?
Wow, maybe you're not.
Oh, maybe I'm not. Oh, no. I wonder if that's what we're going to talk about on this weekend.
Headline, we're okay, and you need to help me be successful. It's kind of nerve-wracking. It's got to be nerve-wracking for Max. He came on today on the radio, which usually makes him nervous anyway, and then here I am. He doesn't know what I'm going to say. We don't have a pre-radio what we're going to talk about. And he, as far as he knows, I could just all of a sudden decide to open up our entire relationship right here, live on the air.
Oh, that'd be
have
fun.
That conversation that I've been wanting to talk about.
You know what? Go for it. It's a holiday soap opera.
Okay.
I wouldn't dare
hold
her.
on.
I wouldn't dare her. I would just go ahead and... I'm going out on a limb and just say, we're going to chop that right here.
Billy thinks we need to take a break.
No.
Go to commercial.
Commercials are overrated, but
and the headline. So I do want to talk about some things that we were talking about, like stuff online. Now, yeah, because, you used to do some dating online.
I have done this.
Right. In fact, you found a former wife online.
That's correct.
Right. She wasn't a former wife online. And so you had a couple of significant relationships that you found online.
I have two significant relationships.
And I had, the famous, 150 dates in a month experience. I've actually dated a couple of thousand men online at this point. Yeah. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't.
And we're still okay, right? So, yeah, I've done a lot of online dating. And, it was mostly research, all just show up and, all for the good of the cause of the people.
Of course.
But people really want to know, more and more people are dating online because less and less people are wanting to go out and do some random hookup at a bar. What was your experience? Why did you want to do the online dating?
Well, the great thing about online dating as I got into it is that it kind of sneaks up on you. It's like the first time I did it, I took some personality tests, and I had a lot of fun with the sort of the entry point where I was learning about myself a little bit. Or
so what was the venue?
You mean the
company.
brand? The
what
brand
was the
name.
company? Yeah,
it's an old thing.
One?
I think it was like E-Mode.
E-Mode, okay.
E-Mode turned into something else and all whatnot, but they had a lot of personality tests, Myers-Briggs, corporate typing, and blah, 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 this and that. Some astrology, not much that way. I get all my information out of books that way, but so it was interesting, and it was kind of interesting. It was kind of like shopping, you get to shop and you get that experience.
Shopping for the women?
Shopping for women.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's true. I guess that's true. You get to go browse, right?
Well, browsing.
They call it browsing.
Well, I call it shopping, but
right?
Whatever.
Well, it is.
Typically, yes. And so a little bit. I think a lot of people are more enticed to this experience because we're now more familiar with the computer. A computer is very friendly. It's in our home. It's hopefully replaced the television in a lot of ways, and we're starting to warm up to these things.
Right.
Even then, the advents of sites like Facebook and or MySpace seem to be the two major sites. And this promotes the idea of, hey, I'm building a profile, I'm participating in some kind of community.
And people do feel, it is really funny how people feel less lonely when they have a profile up somewhere. And they're getting email, or we don't get mail anymore except bills, really.
Right.
So we get email, and even if it's this easy to fall under false solution. I started dating, personal ad dating way before online was even going. And back when the Weekly had it where you had to send a letter to the Weekly post office box and wait for the letter to come back and all that. And I've the famous one that I had that was really great was this guy wrote this actual really long post in the Weekly, which cost him a lot of money because it was by line back then.
Right.
It was this, like huge, like several inches, like 3 or 4 inches long story.
Wait, how many inches?
Yeah, 3 or 4. no, that's, no.
The ad.
Hand. Oh, the ad. I had my hand up in, that wasn't, okay. So 3 or 4 inch ad. And he wrote this really great story. And so as inspiration, instead of writing back to him, I posted the next part of the my story in there. And and we tagged on back and forth for probably 8 or 9 weeks. So I'm sure there were people reading the Weekly waiting to see, because I was saying, like, he was talking about this man in the fedora and, what his experience was. And then what I would have my story, and then I'd have like driving by, and then I drove by the Harley, because he started off at the Harley room. And then I drove by the Harley dealer and I saw this man, pull out. He was wearing a fedora, whatever. So I would mention him in my story.
Right, kind of weave them together.
Right, and so we did this thing for it. It was very fun. It was a lot of fun. That was more fun than actually meeting, but because we actually eventually did meet.
It's funny how all these creative type relationships and connections tend to be very literary and tend to look good on paper. And then,
yeah.
I mean, did I have to bust that out or what?
I have to say, I really fall for men that write well. Great spelling, great grammar, and poetic, romantic type of writing. I'm down with that. It's really imperative to me. And so, when one of my ads netted 2,000 responses when I started online, 2,000 responses in like 3 or 4 days. 2,000. That's like a full-time job.
Right, if you actually review it all.
Well, and so then you start deciding, how do I review this, right?
Right.
So you click, you look, if there's 2 words or a sentence, they're out. So then I got to be, and this is really kind of, in a way, a little bit unfair. Here I am rejecting people, but at 2,000, so, you need to think about this as a man. If you're responding to a woman who you think is going to get a lot of ads, you need to understand that, she may have a whole, even 50 is a lot for a lot of people. And how is she going to determine? It used to be, like I said, before the online thing, then they had the voicemail thing. So then, unfortunately, here I have hundreds of men doing the thing, and I'm going by their voice, which is unfortunate as well, right? But we all have our criteria. What was some of the things? Did you do the looking, or did women respond to you? How did you go about it? Because you look good. So if you put a picture up there, you're going to get responses.
Well, yeah, in theory. A lot of people are.
In theory. there's what's
really interesting is I started to wonder if women had a type that they were looking for.
Like men do?
Maybe. I feel like I'm fairly open. I feel like I have a broad range of interests and, people and their looks. Mm-hmm. And, but I guess I just got the feeling that women are looking for certain types, and I didn't know a lot, but I also wasn't out there publicly very much, so very, very brief periods of time. So in some ways, my online quote-unquote dating experience is very limited, and it's not really a venue that I pursued. I did it much like I do conventional dating, if you will, which is I'm not really pursuing people. I am looking to make a connection. I'm, going out, and if I'm at a place which interests me for a reason I'm interested, or if it's the place I have chosen to do some writing as my, often do like to do that out in public or at some other venue. Writing
in public, that's a little kinky.
Writing in public is kinky, and I've learned a long time ago that I do get some attention for that.
So did you found the women then? That you looked for women and contacted them?
Yes, actually. I would say that that's my thing. I was doing my shopping, and then if I had interest, I expressed interest.
And did you tend to write a little bit or a lot, or what did you do? How did you distinguish yourself?
Right. Well, usually I created a profile that reflected more of who I was. So if somebody were able to, somebody actually became a little interested, then it gave them something to read up on.
So it wasn't like I like to walk on beaches at sunset and
right. No, specify
sit on the couch and watch football.
Things about me specifically that are different than what you might expect to hear out there. Everybody likes a great sunset. I mean, if I were going to talk about a sunset, I would talk about the specific things that I like about it that might set me apart from somebody else, something that a certain type of person would find interesting. And hey, imagine that. The certain type of person would be somebody who can really identify with me, and maybe our values align, or my sense of vision or my take on life spark some interest in them.
Right, because I look at men's profiles, and most of them are pretty lame, I have to say. I mean, either they're not writing a whole lot, or they're writing just very generic. Like they took the thing that says, let us help you write your profile.
Yes.
Just write in, my hobbies are blah, 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 this, that. And I think that women kind of want to, feel some of your soul. What makes you you? This one guy I went on a date with it was because of his profile. He was talking about kangaroos and wombats. And I mean, the profile was just the most obscure, bizarre, strange thing that I'd ever read. It was hilarious. He was a techie kind of guy, and so kind of a social geek, and so he used humor, in his post, and it was the most hilarious story that I've ever read, and so I had to check him out because it was funny. Now, I'm not a typical woman in the dating world. Most women would probably be going like, what?
Right. Well, when you're posting stories back and forth at the cost of, however much it is to post a 3 or 4 inch ad, and this is your idea of a successful romantic dating, that does set you a little bit apart.
Yeah, that's true. But so you need to know, so I think also as a man writing a profile, you want to definitely, we all need to be discerning. You don't want to say a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't really reflect who you are just because it sounds good.
Right.
Because you're only going to get a one shot. When you end up on the date, what happens, right? So I would say as a woman having a profile, and of course my profiles were always edgy. They always said something like, do you love roller coasters, risks, and reward? Being with me is a whole lot more. There was definitely the edgy, adventurous, you got to be the strong man type to step up to this type of thing, because I did want men that were really confident. Men that were like, okay, yeah, I can take that on. I like a woman that's a challenge.
Yeah, but do people really know how to communicate in order to, get the results that they want?
Probably not. That's why there are a lot of people right now that are hiring people to write their profiles. Now, okay, so in my Inner Circle program, I help my Inner Circle students, if they want to date and they do online dating, I certainly help them out. However, I don't just write their profile for them because that's my words. They've got to write stuff, and I help them refine it based on who they are. So I would say that if you are dating online and don't have somebody else write your profile for you, unless it really, really reflects and has enough of your style in it, because they're really going to be shocked when they've read this. You've lured some woman in, if you're a man, with this poetry and this romance because your ex-girlfriend helped you write it.
Right. Didn't they have some kind of famous play or story about that?
Did they?
Yeah, Cyrano de Bergerac.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, so
exactly.
We have that model from history, and yet we repeat it.
Right. Yeah. And it worked out for him though, didn't it? In the end.
Well,
he got the girl in the end, didn't he?
Well, yeah, but that's because he was like one of the 3 Musketeers, and all he ate was a single grape, and
right. Okay.
just stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So. Online, now here, this is the thing we were talking about on the way here, about the things you should not do online.
The list.
Yeah, misrepresent yourself. Okay.
But why not? Oh?
God. So people get really caught up. First of all, there are a lot of people doing online stuff because they're lonely, right? And they don't actually have plans on meeting anybody.
Really? You mean they really don't have plans on meeting?
Yeah, there are a lot of people out there that are just doing that as their thing to do. They're either social recluses maybe, or, who knows why, right? They're afraid to date. But it's a fantasy world, and so more and more now you see, especially on men's profiles, unless you're serious about meeting, I don't intend to email you forever.
Right.
men are actually writing that because women can get into this whole thing about just enjoying the exchange. I did have a whole online romance, like 12 years ago that lasted 3 months. And I swear to God, it was intense. I mean, it was really, really intense. That's because, of course, you have nothing else but that intense focus
right.
on every word they say, right? Which is the ultimate in showing up. Maybe not the ultimate in authenticity, but the ultimate in showing up.
Showing up and being present.
Right.
You definitely got the attention.
Right. And a lot of men today are losing their wives and girlfriends to online lovers because of that.
The emotional relationships.
Right. That intense connection of bearing your soul because all you can do is write. Of course, now they have webcams, you can do more, but for the most part, people are still doing the writing. So misrepresenting yourself is not cool. It's just not cool, and I don't really get it. I mean, I've heard both on men's sides and women's sides, and you said you had an incident like that.
Yes, I did.
What happened?
You mean the incident we spoke of?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if there's more, tell me some more.
Yeah, let's qualify that. No, I really only had a couple. Misrepresentation. Did I really say that was the issue itself? I don't.
Yeah. Well, the picture looked one way, the person looked the other, or something to that effect.
Oh, yes. So I mean, I hate to be stereotypical, but it's true. I mean, having somebody who actually, puts a picture out there that really is not them, and then.
Or was them 20 years ago.
Right. And, something like that. And then when, so here they are. And I mean, as a guy, you kind of feel like, wow, like what is this person willing to do or not willing to do to make this happen?
So they actually showed up. So, you had this idea of what they look like because they sent you a picture.
Yep.
You guys agree to meet.
Yep.
And they show up and you're like.
Well, they show up and it's a different person.
You're like, who's this?
Right. And I've heard this from women as well. I've really heard this from women as well. I mean, as far as, hey, some guy will do this, but I mean, for me, I just don't understand the point of then, actually showing up.
Yeah.
Right. And then they go and try and like make it like we're going to debate about who's right or wrong and having some feelings.
So tell me a little bit about it because that was pretty funny.
Well, yeah.
So they showed up and it's like, you're stunned. Like, hello, who are you?
Yeah. Well, more or less. And then so I'm like, okay, well, that's not you, and so on and so forth. And they're like, yeah, but I mean, what did you really expect? I mean, everybody puts a different picture of themselves up there. You're not supposed to. And I'm like, oh, really? So you mean you didn't expect me to look like me? Because I put my picture up there. I'm not talking about this, that, and the other thing, and misrepresenting. So anyway, I thought that was funny. And then the part was the convincing and trying to kind of like emotionally batter this situation into a favorable thing for them and try and actually the process of trying to make me out to be the foolish one in order to get what they wanted. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
I mean, I gotta say, where's somebody think this date's gonna go? One of my clients told me about, the woman that had the, 102 pound blonde bikini picture on the profile and showed up at 350 pounds. And, really the person had no idea who they were, standing at the door. Hi, what can I do for you? Oh, I'm, whoever, Cindy. Wow. Okay, Cindy, what can I do for you? No, I'm Cindy, like we're meeting, and my friend just stunned. I mean, he didn't know. What does he say to that? First of all, you're put in a position as the person that just got lied to of being rude too, right? Like, wow. Okay. Hello. Wow.
Right.
What do you say? Whether it would be the person that put a 350 pound picture on and showed up at 100 pounds would be the same deal. Okay. It doesn't matter. When you've misrepresented yourself, and maybe it's not even poundage, it could be height, it could be color, it could be anything, that you've completely misrepresented yourself. How do you think the date's going to go? I mean, I don't understand that. So please, if you're out there and you're hearing this and you've done that, okay, fine, you've done it. Just please don't do it again because it can't, there's nothing. I don't know. I want to hear from somebody that's had success with that. That's what I want to know. If you're listening to me and you misrepresented yourself and you're now married to the person and everything's great, call me. Okay, call me and tell me that. It's 877-230-3062, 3062. Take a minute, think about that. We're going to go on a break, and we'll be right back in just a minute.
Are you one of the 40 million sexless couples in the U.S.? Are you wondering why having sex leaves you feeling lonely? Are you suffering from the myths of sexual dysfunction? Do you know in your heart that there has to be more than what you're currently getting out of making love? To rid yourself of sexual ignorance, get more out of your lovemaking, and find out more about spiritual sexual connection, then you need to check out www.thetantrateacher.com to receive your free copy of the ebook called Secrets of the Tantra Teacher. Don't suffer another minute without the sexual loving and ecstatic bliss you were born to receive. Get to www.thetantrateacher.com right now. That's www.thetantrateacher.com.
Is your sex life non-existent? Do sexual dysfunctions leave you soft? Is internet porn getting more than you are? Or are you paying more attention to porn than your partner? Have you tried talk therapy and it got you nowhere? You are not alone. You can be freed from sexual shame, guilt, and dissatisfaction. A visit to the Tantra Teacher is in order. Call now and mention you heard the Tantra Teacher on the radio and get a very special offer. Stop waiting for a miracle and call right now. 206-276-2735. Phone consultations or in person will get you the information you need to be successful in your love life. But you have to call now. 206-276-2735. Stop making excuses. Call the Tantra Teacher. 206-276-2735.
Well, Billy loves to make me laugh so that we come back from the break laughing. And I've never heard that expression before.
No?
No, I haven't heard that
Max, have
expression
you?
before.
Yes, I have.
Max has heard all the expressions.
See?
I must just be really naive for a sexual intimacy expert. I don't know, but some of the language we were just talking on the break about a buddy that Billy has who apparently just has sex like a demon on these online profile things while he's engaged in a relationship and apparently condomless. So I'm a little, shocked. But why should I be shocked by that? Anyway, ladies on Plenty of Fish, watch out. And if he really has a lot of muscles, then just say no. That's about as far as
that's not fair. There's a lot of real
muscular
nice
guys. That's true. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I would whittle it down a little bit more, like with his name and stuff, but I'm not going to do that. So they're probably not listening to this show anyway.
No.
So, so what were you talking about? I was just like, oh my God, I'm still shocked.
Well, are we gonna spill the expression, the new thing that you learned today? Would you like to share what you learned?
What I just. What? Oh, yeah, no, I don't really need to say that on the radio.
Okay.
That might shock some poor people. People would like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that on the radio. It's like stunning. Anyway, we were talking about online dating. We were talking about misrepresenting yourself. And you know what? That goes for any type of dating at all. Trying to act a certain way when you're not that certain way just is not a good idea. Trying to be authentic, even though you may get a few less dates, eventually you might actually get the right one. So I think that's really more important. We're all, it is shopping, really, when you were saying that, it is. And so a lot of people are very nervous about that. I've had some really, I have to say for the most part, like I said, thousands, for the most part, really decent guys, just really down to earth, nice men, nothing weird going on, nothing to be scared of. And then I've had a few that, oh my God, were so weird and so scary and so strange including like a senator type guy that just wigged out on me. I didn't meet him. I had this. So here's what I say to women. Women, we're pretty intuitive. And if you've emailed this guy a couple times, or, you've emailed back and forth a little bit, and I think you should do that. I really do think if you're not looking just to have sex, that you should actually take a little bit of time, because your intuition will kick in. If something just doesn't seem right, just pass. That's what I say. And so I had emailed this guy. We'd been emailing a couple times, and he was like, well, we need to meet. And I said, yeah, that's great. And I just had something just was telling me I needed to email a couple more times. And I said, you know what? I know I said we were going to meet, but I do need a little bit more time. And he came unglued. I mean, I'm talking, capitals, emails with everything in caps, right? With hundreds of exclamation points behind them, calling me, a tease and a this and a that, and women like you, and I mean, just went off. And I said, wow, I was beginning to feel like you might have a control anger issue, and I said, I see that I was right about that. And so if you have, even as a man, I mean, it doesn't matter, men or women, if you've got a feeling something's not quite okay, just better to go with that feeling.
You mean when she's 36 years old and still a virgin? Is that...
There's nothing wrong with being 36 and a virgin.
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm just throwing something out there that might seem a little bit off. You may want to email a couple times.
Well,
find out about the circumstances.
Well, certainly. And there can be people that have that kind of issue going on that could have some bigger issues behind it. But what I want to say is that online dating, for the most part, it was pretty cool. I met a lot of nice people. Most people are pretty honest. Most people fudge a little bit about things here and there, I think. Height, weight, those being the top two. And I'm sure I think it's probably across the board for men and or women. Women might say they, have might say they have some fat on them, and they might be lying because they don't have any fat on them at all, but they feel like they need to say it. Men tend to misjudge their weight by about 20 pounds, unless they've been on a scale. And, and most of the point, it's all good. And I think there's some certain etiquette about online dating, which is if you're not interested in somebody, I think it's just great to just say that. Right?
It's helpful to be very straight up and honest, because, you're messing with people's emotions, possibly their time. Everybody deserves some fairness when it comes to time and feelings.
And so some of the companies now have that really cool little thing that you can just check the box, not interested in you because that's horrible. I mean, can you just write a little email? Even email is kind of rough, but, and you might say you don't have a vested interest in it because, it hasn't lasted that long. It was 4 emails. Who cares? I don't know. I like to treat people the way I want to be treated.
Right. Well, the way I like to treat people is personally. So, hey, didn't like you much, but you want to give me your phone number so I can tell you why we're not going to be writing anymore?
Nice. Yeah. Do you do that? Was that the thing? So you said you had a successful relationship, or a couple of them. And that was, so for the amount of people that you profiled versus dating, you would say it was a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I really didn't, I didn't spend a lot of extra time. There was, of course, I have a good idea of what I like and have some intuition about people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even on their profiles.
Even on their profiles.
Okay.
I can read pictures, so
okay.
I can get like emotional traits and things. I understand pictures.
Would you have dated me?
Online?
Yeah, would you have picked me?
Well, I'm not sure.
He's like, no, definitely not. You look too dangerous in that picture.
Very dangerous. It's the eyebrow. See, it's that arching eyebrow.
Uh-oh.
Gotta watch out for that.
There we go. So now I have done lots of different types. I've done a bunch of the different companies, even the sex ones, for sex only. Had so we've got, Match.com and eHarmony for me really did not work because I'm a little too unusual, I guess, for those questions. And they'd match me up with people here's your perfect match. I'm like, are you out of your mind? That's so far away from anybody I would date. I don't think they knew what to do with me.
It's hard to put you in a box.
Well, the eHarmony. Match.com, a little bit easier. They give you more flexibility. People like right now are liking Plenty of Fish. I hear a lot of pretty decent things about that.
No, that's kind of funny. I've always reacted to this title. I mean, it's making a mockery a little bit, but I guess we're maturing as a society and we can sort of laugh at ourselves. Is that what we're saying? Or
well, I think what it's supposed to be is there's a lot of people in the sea and maybe not a lot of time to find them. I'm not sure what Plenty of Fish is really saying. But they've gotten very specialized.
Yes.
I mean, you have sites now that are so specialized. You can do the ethnic thing, you can do the age thing, you can do the size thing. You know, I don't think for men. I don't think they have the bigmen.finder.com. Oh, let's start that.
Shall we?
Bigmenfinder.com. Bigmensmembersfinder.com.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. Because there's got to be women out there that's they're looking for a specific size,
and
it would be a very niche market. You should call me or email me or IM me here if you think that's a great idea that we could start that, and maybe we could do that for like women, like the women's bust size.com or something like that. If you were a man that was very specific and the breasts were the only thing that was really important to you, what do you think?
Well, I think
you should see the look on Max's face. It's hilarious. Billy's like, well, I don't know.
I'd trademark it right now.
Yeah, right now.
Let's do it.
We're down. We're hearing this right now. Somebody's going to whip this idea out just as soon as you can. I know it.
Nice. Well, you know,
they've got the Tantra profiles,
On which site?
Tantra.com.
Right. This is true.
And then, of course, Adult Friend Finder.
Oh, the classic episodic wonderful adult friend finder.
Let's just hook up. It's really interesting. Most of the men that contacted me were married, even though my profile stated, if you're married, don't contact me. They obviously didn't read down to so that got them in, then I gave them the scathing. So, I'm a sexual intimacy coach. I could help you and your wife. You didn't have to be on here. You could call me and we could work on your relationship together. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't like that much. That wasn't the deal. But so Adult Friend Finder, interesting. I met a few people from there, never did any hooking up because it was, even though I actually met some really nice guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though it seems like just a hookup thing, I didn't find it to be as much that.
That's interesting. I participated for a while and I cured some of my loneliness by doing some chat. I found that kind of stimulating and, people that I could understand, and talked a little bit about Tantra and compassion and, brought that to the chat room. So I felt like I was providing value, but I only met one person from there that I absolutely had no interest in. I already knew that I wasn't interested in hooking up with them, but I thought, well, here's somebody, I'll make a connection. That's really as far as I took it. So right. I don't have a lot of input on that.
Well, and I do know there's definitely a lot of very interesting people. I found that there's more interesting people on that site than what I found on Match.com.
Well, Match or eHarmony, I mean, any place which is going so mainstream as to sort of socially engineer the matches, I would say not a lot of real interest, maybe. I mean, at least what I find interesting.
Right, unusual, unique, people are a lot more bold about putting stuff on their profiles, unlike Adult Friend Finder.
Well, at least there's truth. There's a lot more authenticity in one regard, and there's still probably some of that fudging and a little bit of the outlandishness.
Well, it's a little hard to fudge when you've got somebody's naked crotch splayed across your computer screen.
Well, that's true.
And that was only the one thing that was to me like, wow, okay, I guess we're, I read a lot of women's profiles, and the women were just out there too, and and I still wonder, is it really that we're still doing the same dance, which is really looking for a connection? I think it's still the same dance.
I think people are either looking for a connection or they're not. I mean, people who are looking to hook up are going to look to hook up.
Do you think they're really happy and satisfied with just that? I mean, Billy's buddy that we talk about, he's doing the do, right? Yep. But, is he really happy? I mean, he's getting notches in his bedpost.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I know that he's never had is he's never had a mother in his life.
Ah.
He's never had a mom. He's always just done the dad and the grandpa and the treat women like hell. And
Okay,
so it's always, that's something that he's always done. But like he knows how to, like, when he goes to Plenty of Fish, he won't go to the intimate encounters or what they would call that section, because that he knows that those girls can go and look and see if he's done that. So he knows everything to cover his rear end to make sure he is getting still as much tail as physically possible.
Right. That's pretty astounding. And I I teach a lot of men and men's groups, and the men's groups, I end up asking them the questions. It ends up being that really they're actually looking to go deeper as well. And I'm not just talking in the sexual sense. And so I think that, I still think we're looking for the same thing. I think what happens is that because men don't find that love and that intimacy and that connection easily, they don't think it exists. So they're just in it for the pleasure. That's momentary pleasure, that experience. And I think that if you give a man an experience that shows them there's actually more, that most of them want to go that way.
I think a lot of people are willing to try new things if they have an experience that makes sense to them. If they can feel it, if they can connect inside themselves that, oh, wow, this might be different. There's some encouragement to do something different, or even do something that, especially if they're not being told it's different. Oh, here, try this, it's different. If it's just, hey, I'm out there, I'm doing, and I ran across this person, and the things they said really changed my view of the world. And I tried a couple things, had these experiences. Maybe they've parted ways since then, but something shifted. Sometimes it takes a while for people to get real, what I call, front and center, get direct with whatever it is that they desire.
Well, I know that certainly, the experiences I've had with different lovers that have said to me that, whoa, I had no idea it could be like that. And I'm not just talking, it could be like that in the sense of being met, of having an exchange with somebody that felt more than what they had experienced before. And the reality is we can't experience more pleasure in our bodies if we don't experience more depth. So this friend of Billy's here, who's just doing his thing, he's having his, probably more than 11 minutes of average orgasm a year. Most men have 11 minutes of orgasm a year. He's probably having a little bit more than that. And he's depleting all his life force tantrically. And at some point, he's going to turn around and be lonely and kind of going, wow, what's going on? Yeah, I can get laid and do all that, but is there anything else? And not really ever getting that that experience of even more pleasure than what he's having right now, because he's not pushing the envelope. He's just notching his bedpost. You have to have some longevity with one person to go deep with them. You can have a lot of lovers and you can get sexual experience, but eventually all that sexual experience is kind of the same. I mean, there's not really that much variety between people unless you're doing lots of different body types, in which case then you have some more variety. But really the sex act and all the things that you can do, pretty much at a certain point, you're topped out. I mean, it's not really that different. What makes sex different and makes it fulfilling throughout life is actually going to be when you connect with somebody else and you start to really have an experience that deepens you. There's some trust, there's some intimacy, and something more is what I want to say about that. So for those of you out there that are just kind of banging away, understand that you are, yes, having pleasure, and yes, you are doing these things, but there's way more out there than what you're doing. And speaking of way more than what you're doing, we have our sponsor to talk about before the end of our show.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. And our sponsor, and if you want to, if you like the idea of thousands and thousands and thousands of people all over the world listening to you and your internet business, you should call me or email me about sponsoring this show. So our sponsor, though, is AdamandEve.com.
Yep.
And AdamandEve.com is a fabulous store who has some fabulous, fabulous discounts for you because of this show. So it's almost Christmas.
It is almost Christmas.
They can probably hook you up before Christmas.
I want to see a few new toys under the tree.
Under the tree
for
you?
Christmas.
You want some more? Okay. AdamandEve.com is going to give you 50% off anything you buy. If you're Joshua, that means you're going to buy more. That's his name.
Yes.
And so 50% off any almost everything that they have online in their store at adamandeve.com, and free shipping.
Free shipping.
And 3 adult DVDs.
Wait.
This is my favorite part. The mystery gift that's so sensual, I can't even talk about it on the air.
Wow. If
You
can't talk about it on the air, now you got my interest.
Okay, just for that, people, you've got to get to adamandeve.com and get your 50% off and your 3 DVDs and this mystery gift and your free shipping. And then you've got to email me. I swear to God, you've got to email me or call me and tell me what it was, because maybe I just have to get to adamandeve.com and buy something. So to get all those goodies, you have to enter a special code. And the special code, of course, is me, my special name, which is TANJA. Remember the J. TANJA. You enter that in at where it says coupon or code there in your shopping cart, and you will get that 50% off. You will get those 3 DVDs. You will get the mystery gift.
The mystery gift? What is it?
I don't know, but it's killing me. That's what's killing me. AdamandEve.com probably get you hooked up. I don't know if they can get it to you before Christmas or not, but you can always go there and check it out. And they have a lot of amazing things.
What a great place to, I wonder if they have gift certificates.
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be a nice stocking stuffer?
Well, there's a lot of probably nice stocking stuffers that you can get at adamandeve.com. Lots of things to stick in your stocking. And, wow, we can just make a whole thing with that.
Yeah, that would be a radio show right there.
Right there, yeah. Things to stick in your stocking. But, it's always a great time, even if you're adding toys to your relationship does not mean your relationship has gone downhill or anything like that. It's always fun to break them out, and I should have had Max talk about his experience with me and his shock with my toy, or my shock with him walking in the room. One or the other, but it's a pretty funny story.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so adamandeve.com, get your 50% off, your free shipping, your 3 DVDs, and my God, that thing that's making me crazy, your mystery sensual gift that I can't even talk about on the radio. TANJA in the coupon code. All right, and for us, we're almost out, and the holidays are upon us next week, and you're going to listen to Josh and I on the radio talking about things and stuff.
Talking about the new year, getting set up for the new year. We have lots coming out.
Yes, we do. And I've got a men's class coming up in Vancouver on the 30th. And you can email me about that, and I can tell you more. Get to my website under Tantra Classes. LearningTantra.com is the website. ModernTantra.com coming next year.
That's right, coming out in January.
Very soon with our new logos and the new look and our new program and all of that we're very excited about. And a contest where you can win coaching programs, classes, products, and all sorts of goodies. So stay tuned for that coming up in the new year. Max, it was great to sit across from you and look at you while you talk to me on the radio.
Well, thanks. I feel the same way.
And I'm very happy that it's radio, because we both look like we need a shower.
Yeah, we're a bit disheveled, but
we're a little disheveled, but we're happy it's the radio.
Life does that at times.
All right, everybody. Live, I'll see you in the new year.